Why do systems sound better after warming up? We get asked this a lot, and I chose this one from Garrett in Cincinnati, Ohio, because it kind of explains that whole thought process, and maybe we can talk a little bit about it. And Garrett writes, I own a Class AB integrated amplifier, and I swear it sounds better after warming up after 10 to 20 minutes. Is this really a thing, or is it just my ears adjusting to the sound? No, Garrett, it's not just your ears adjusting to the sound. It is clearly better on most equipment after turning it on. Now, we're going to get a lot of pushback on that because people will tell you, I switched this on, I listened to it, I don't hear any difference. Give it a minute, give it 10 seconds, it's better. As always, much depends on the system itself and what it is that's warming up. But let's look at some practical reasons why warming up does make a difference in equipment in general, so we can all agree on something before we go off into the weeds and people just love to argue, don't you? Anyway, one of the things that most equipment is particularly sensitive to is thermal equilibrium. So parts perform differently at different temperatures. So while we can't say that everything performs differently after warm-up, because some things take so little current that they produce almost virtually no heat, it's pretty rare. So you might have, let's say you have your phone, okay, and your phone's been off for a long time, and you turn it on. Well, over time, you might not feel any difference as it warms up, but those integrated circuits inside, as they're powered up and they stay on for a while, they reach a thermal equilibrium. And if you look at specs of any kind of components, especially semiconductors, but it applies also to capacitors and resistors, their characteristic electrical qualities change with temperature. Now, how does that affect sound? Well, the performance of an audio unit is dependent on the sum of all the parts and how they're performing. And if those parts change with temperature, then the performance will change over time and warm up. Now, this was particularly important back in the days of tubes. Certainly more important than it is today in solid state, but nonetheless, still something to consider, that back in the day when vacuum tubes had to warm up, of course, it didn't even work at first for the first, couple of minutes or two, till that tube's heater got going and glowing and the electrons started flowing and everything kind of settled in. But even solid state still has quite a warm-up period. Our products, particularly our BHK amplifiers and preamplifiers, now they do have vacuum tubes in the input, but their thermal characteristics, the big heat sinks on the side, they take 45 minutes or so to reach thermal equilibrium, to where they're about the temperature they're always going to be. And you can hear a clear difference between dead cold and 45 minutes later. Capacitors are forming, they're changing their capacitance levels. Bias circuits are setting up and changing in an amplifier. Even Class D sounds different. So it's not your imagination. Definitely, there is a warm-up period that matters. So thanks for the question. I'll talk to you all tomorrow. Bye.